Well, right now he's a couple of years older. He's like 18 months older than me or something. That's fine. So, yeah. I want to talk about this. But I want to make sure you're ready to watch rather than placing units on the field. This one needs to be scrolled down, doesn't it? Yes. I've got my pattern that we're going to be working on screen too. Okay, so I've got so many notes to give you since I know you got the day off. Like, so many notes. Because I added something in that shared Google thing that I'm pretty sure you are going to love. Yeah, carry on? Okay. So I mentioned the other week that I started, like, a crafting journal. And it is purely knitting and crochet in this one. Eventually I'm going to do a spinning one, and a cross stitch one, and maybe a yarn dyeing one, because I really want to get back into yarn dyeing. Like, I've got ideas zooming through my head. I had to write them down to get them out of my head, and they're still zooming, and I want to keep going. I was like, that costs money. But one day, I'm going to start dyeing yarning you. So my idea this year is to have a journal so I can keep track of what I'm doing in each month, how many skeins of yarn I use. I'm counting a skein as 100 grams. So if I have two 50-gram balls, I'm counting that as a 100-gram skein. As a one. Because to me that makes sense. Yeah. So we're going to slowly flick through this a little bit, and I'll explain a little bit more as we go. This page here is eventually, like, it's going to be like the front page. It's actually a front page. So it's going to end up with like swatches and yarn and all sorts of fun stuff on it as the year goes by. The point is, I'm thinking maybe I might get some and go around like an edge or something and make it really pretty. I do not want this journal to be flat. I want it to be textural. I want it to be fun. And, you know, it lasts for a while. I think next year though, I want to get a hardcover rather than a cardboard. So maybe I might treat myself and get a proper dot journal or something. Like, I've got dot journals that I use for other things, but I want a nice one. So, index, pretty self-explanatory, and I've got a couple of pages for that. Literally like a couple of pages. And I'm already almost down the bottom. So I might have to, like, I don't know, probably like halve it, because that should work and give me another half of the page. Of course, already some of the pages at the tier. These are the works in progress I had on the needles December 31st, 2022. I keep doing that. I'm doing it all the time. So I had vanilla socks on the needles. They are off. I've got my granny blanket, my hexagranny cardette, which has not seen any love this month. Multnomah shawl, which is a 2012 project. And this camper van thing, which is now the pillowcase. And all the pages that they align to when they get put in. I've got my plans for this year, and I'm crossing them off and putting when they were done. My aim is to get through, you know, a decent chunk of them. And I'm not putting anything on here that is too much. As in, I can look at it and say, I'm not going to get that done this year. So, finishing my hexagranny should be done. I want to try and get that done by the end of winter. So, it's all ready for the change in seasons. I think it's going to be great. 6 rows on the blanket, which is my 9 squares a month, even though I am currently aiming for 18. And this month I have done 3. 6 pairs of socks, which equates to 1 sock a month. I'm already ahead because I've already basically done 3 socks. So a whole pair and 1 of these. These are the next ones that are going on the needles next month. 3 baby items, and these have all turned out to be jackets or sweaters and stuff. They were going to be like either sets with booties and mitts and stuff, but apparently they're all going to be sweaters. So the snowflake is currently on the needles. Baby surprise is my next one. And then in May, I'm going to make a Milo, because there's a little event called Milo May, and it's just a lot of fun. I've got the daybreak shawl, which I will be doing for the husband. Finished the old socks, which is done. I've got a sock head hat I want to do for Pinktober. So that's an October cast on. Colour Affection is the one after Daybreak. No, it's not. Lady Edith's after Daybreak. And then Colour Affection. That's Colour Affection is a 3 skein shawl. It's going to be huge. A hat for Panda. A hat for my other sister because she walks her dog. So I want to try to get that done before winter. And then Lady Edith, which he picked. This is how January looked. January is my only single page month. Everything else is double. I'm counting the pages with... This is page 5. But this is also page 5. It's a double spread for each page. Because I didn't want to have a heap of pages in my index. And for most part, it's all double spreads. And I'll probably do that going forward too. So January I bring in the previous whips. That's all the ones that were on the needles on the first. New cast-ons, which only cast on 3. I'm very proud of myself. And the finishes I did, which includes a blanket row. And any knits along and make alongs I'm doing for the month. Each new cast-on gets a skein count added to it. Previous ones do not. I decided I'm not going to count those as stash because they are on the needles and they've not been counted as stash for a long time. So every time I use a skein out of my stash, it gets counted. The exception being my snowflake cardie because I bought the stuff specially for that and never actually hit the stash. And then of course the page numbers and anything I finished, the page numbers there and how many skeins they counted. So at the end of the month I have how many I bought and how many left the stash. January was slow. February is my first double page month. So again we got the previous whips. This also included at this point my Franklin socks and my London Fog socks. I haven't done the skeins in, skeins out because it'll happen beginning of March. New cast-ons. I've cast on 4 things so far this month. So yeah, and of course skein count for the first muscle burrow was 1 because it's a single colour one. My second one was 2, and because I only had like small amounts left, I just left it as, you know, the rest that doesn't count. It'll all be fed to the blankets, blanket food. The baby snowflake, as I said, is 0 because that yarn never hit my stash. And the damson shawl is 1. These are all knit-alongs and make-alongs I'm taking part in. A few of these are ongoing, so that's fine. A few end in April, or March or April. So they will slowly drop off and I'll pick up more. Because knit-alongs equal prizes. And prizes are fun. And it's just nice knitting the same kind of thing as a few other people are. Like more than a few. It's like a couple of thousand people, I think, in some places. Yeah. And of course my finishes here. So both the muscle burrows and my Franklin socks. Going on to this month, I plan on having the baby snowflake and Val's camper van thing. I think that's going to be all my finishes for this month. Maybe your socks. Don't know. We'll see. So yeah, March I've already got the knit-alongs and stuff that are happening. And whatever. So, let's get... Hang on. I just need to flick. This is like one of the hardest things to find. Okay, so I haven't set up November and December yet. That's fine. Things will change. My kitted items, which is basically this shelf here. Okay, we spoke about this shelf last week. These are everything. And how many skeins would come out of the stash. My featherweight, this is where I figured out that it's 100 grams per counted skein. Because there's 14 balls in there. If I use up all 14, it is 7. Like 700 grams. So that's kind of how I'm working it. So yeah, lots of 4s, well, 4s, 3s, 2s. My only single ones are my Pinktober sock head and my rainbow striped hat. They're only singles, but they're there because the yarn has been put aside for them. And the muscle burrow for my sister. Now she's a huge fan of the colour orange, so I picked out an orange for her with an orange tweed. And as like the other side, it's more of a neutral, so it's browns and like cream. It's really pretty, and it's bamboo. So I hope she likes it, and I hope she enjoys walking her dog with it. So her birthday's not until December, so that's a thing. But it's fine. I'm gonna give it to her early. I think she might just enjoy it for winter. That's the problem when we're so, like, other than my brother, like us two girls in the family are summer babies. We don't get winter stuff for our birthdays. We get summer. And it sucks because it's winter clothes I need. Summer clothes I'm fine with. Anyway, into the projects. My vanilla socks, these have got almost nothing off. I've got to write off the bind off. I've got to get my notes from online. This note's about the product, or the project, 0 skeins. Granny blanket. This one has a lot of notes about it and my row counter. So when I get down to 18, then I get to do the border and joining. And I have figured out though how I want to join it up. I haven't figured out an actual like layout, and that won't happen till the end. And I'm kind of tossing up between a couple. Either I go randomly or I do like a gradient, rainbow gradient. But the plan is, I'm trying to think of how I can display this. Ha! Start in the middle. And I'm going to do almost like a log cabin join. So I'm going to go up one side, joining the second. And the next one here, I'm going to go across 2 and join up 2. And then down 2, join up 2. The next one's going to be join 3. I think that's how I'm going to end up joining it up. So a log cabin style. I think it's going to work better with my brain. So eventually, like, it's going to be like the last 18. But before then I would have done like 17, whatever. So I think that should work. Everyone that hasn't been here before, this is a 150 piece puzzle that I taped together and I kind of used it as decoration. It's a thing. I did 4 of those. One had an extra corner and was missing a middle piece. I did another one, it was like a seaside one that I didn't like, so it's been bagged back up. Like, it's all done, doesn't enjoy it. I like these style. So yeah, one that is all kind of round candies, macarons there. Love them. So yeah, that's how I think I'm going to join it up. We will see. I'm going to get a cone of bare merino yarn to join it up with and leave it as white. I thought about maybe dyeing it up, but that's a huge amount of dye. Like, it's a lot of... And no, not worth it. Hexagranny candy, still got to write up the notes for. What Noma got to write the notes for. This is why I wanted 2 pages. I want to be sticking in the labels. So this one here's got the label and it flicks up because it was just easier. And again, my notes. I've got yarn in this page. I've got yarn on almost every other page after this. So yeah, that's my contrast. And when I'm done with the socks, I will put in some of that actual sock colour right there as well. It's going to look great. I haven't written the cast and stuff, but I've got also the pattern designer somewhere at the top as well. And this counts for 1 skein. So all my interest. Any notes that I have about it, like don't do a cuff down again if I can't have to. One of my big things. Any notes I've had about the pattern itself, or you know what I found easy, what I found difficult, things I've changed, that's all in here. My Franklin socks, which are now off the needles, I've got to get my cast on date. This, you know, just sort of twisted them together, so that's, yeah. I wanted to show all the different colours. I figured that was the easiest way of doing it. Again, the contrast and the label. This one actually has a born on date, which you can't quite see. But yeah, that's how long it's basically been in my stash. Because I would have got it fairly soon after that. 2012. Then this one here also had like, because I was doing them semi-two at a time, which I'm going to do from now on. the socks zoomed for what it's worth. So yeah, when I sat down and focused on it, they zoomed. First muscle bra, and again some of the yarn just tucked in the corner, taped down there. And cast on, bind off. All the information, which also comes straight off the label, and that one flips because it's got information on the other side. And so here I sort of noticed it was too loose, which is why I went down needle sizes. I didn't write down the needle size. I have to get that from online. Yeah, super cozy, super fast. Panda wants it, so he's not getting it, it's mine. This is my second one, of course, just off the needles. That's the merino, and down here is the first colour down here. So this one used 3mm needles. I think they might have actually been 3.25. But yeah, little notes about it. And to take note, in this one here, I made the difference in the fact that I didn't bother weaving in ends at all. If I had a split in the yarn, I went through a couple extra rows further. I tied a knot. I tied a double knot. Because my theory is, who's going to see those ends? It's a tube. It's a closed tube at that. No one's going to see the ends. That was just, it made life so much easier. My baby snowflake that I'm working on. So all my little notes. And of course the yarn together. The shawl that we're going to work on today. It's a camper van thing and the reason why I'm doing it and that sort of stuff. This is getting very chunky behind here. I love it. Next hat I'm casting on. That's the notes for the daybreak. Notes for the Lady Edith. Colour affection when it happens. So when I can, I'm putting stuff in. Next month's socks, which are going to come from this pile here. We'll pick them next weekend. I'm going to use these to try a heap of new things, which... So I'm still going to do the toe up with a contrast toe. My standard wedge toe, which is what this is. It's just a standard wedge toe because it forms a wedge. And then I want to slip stitch for 20 rounds on the ball of the foot after the toe. So this bit here, I saw it in another podcast where she did it, and the slip stitch pattern makes it really thick and really secure, like sturdy and hard wearing. And because this is an area where I know I get I wear out quickly. Well, these last for ages, but they tend to wear out a lot faster than anywhere else. So I'm going to try it. So that's the thing. I'm also going to do a 2x2 rib. So my top part of the foot, going all the way up to here, and then the entire leg. I'm going to do a 2x2 rib. So it's going to come in more, be a little more tighter, but it's going to stretch out to the size it needs to be and be a bit more secure on my leg. I want to see how that feels. The heel, this is a fish lips kiss heel because it naturally bunches and, you know. So, yeah. Words. I've lost words. I want to try a Flegel heel, which I've heard of, and it seems to create like a little semi-gusset just here. I don't know if I can do a contrast heel for that. If I can, I will. If I can't, I'm not going to be concerned about it. You know, there are more important things in life. So yeah, I'm going to continue the 2x2 rib up the leg and finish again with my 2x2 cuff. So a couple of new things in there for me, and I want to see how well it looks and how it feels on my leg and how that Flegel heel feels on my foot. Because one thing I've realised is I've been using the Fish Lips Kiss heel for years. Years and years and years. As soon as it came out, I fell in love with it because I don't like doing a gusset, the heel flap and gusset, because that's all cuff down, and I don't like doing cuff down. So I want to try it. And I think I will actually eventually find a few more toe up heels and try them in the next few pairs of socks. And this one here, Panda wants to take on fostering kittens when he moves. 1 litter at a time. There's some very strict rules around it. And it's not going to be continuous. It's going to be as he can, and he's not going to do too much. So I want to get him some blankets. So he doesn't have any extra money at the moment because, you know, he's as broke as I am. And I have a stash of acrylic. So the idea is, I've kind of figured out most of it this morning. It's a mitered square. So you start off with two edges and you slowly like decrease and it forms an actual square. But then it's really easy to join on another square from it because you'll pick up stitches and cast on and stuff. If I do 61 stitches, it's going to give me, I think, about that big of a square. Doesn't seem huge, but I figured half of it, so the first 30 stitches are going to be one colour and the other half is going to be another. So I've got some here. My first 30 stitches done will be these. I'm saying stitches because it's, you know, halfway through the needles. First half of it done is going to be like a pink. And then, so the last little corner bit's going to be contrast colour. And then I'm going to do all 4. So it's all joined up into the square. And then I'm going to log cabin it. So I start at one side, pick them all up, and I'm thinking maybe 20 rows. I'm going to play with it a little bit. I'm going to keep count the first few times I do it and to see how big the square ends up. So you do, like, you pick up all along one side of a square and you knit up and bind off. And then you'll pick up down, including that edge there from that log you just did, go down and knit the same amount of rows and bind off. And you do it all the way around and you end up with this really neat square. I actually want to do this a few times for myself and some of that really nice acrylic and use it as pillowcases, blanket cases, like cushion cases for the couch and stuff. I think it's going to be great. And yeah, they will be pink. I'll probably get a grey. If you watch my House Flipper series, it's pink and grey. Pink and grey are my colours. And it's just funny enough because purple and yellow are actually my favourite colours. But yeah, so that's where I'm at. So this is page 35. Because again, double page spread. I'll probably do like some twisty yarn stuff in here as well because I want this. Ooh. My pattern just changed pages. I want it to be, like I said, I want it to be chunky. I don't want it to be flat. Flat's boring. I want it to be textural and fun. You know, maybe with stuff sticking out of it. I know if I hang it on its edge, I get pieces coming out. That's the sort of, I just sort of hang there, and I love it. That's what I want. I want a really scrappy notebook. So that's my big project for the year. I'm keeping that up to date. So as I do finish things, I at least put in the finish date and a few other bits and pieces when I can. Which makes me happy.